Okay. There is so much to talk about. I'm really surprised that they did away with Dante so quickly. I was expecting pretty much what he said he was gonna get, right? Like a fair trial or whatever. Okay, here's the thing. I don't really get Dante because it seemed like he was pretty new to the Whisperers. So how would he be like so indoctrinated that he wouldn't be won over by the way of life at Alexandria? Like, why would you want to go back to being a Whisperer? That doesn't make any sense. I could understand if you're beta, if you're, like I said, really, really indoctrinated, if you've been loyal to Alpha for a long time, I can understand why you would not be phased. But Dante, it seemed like Dante was new, and so that doesn't really make sense. And he did genuinely seem to care about Sadiq. So I don't know. I don't really get that. But it is interesting. He's been there for 4 months. That's crazy, giving Alpha intel for 4 months. Gabriel killing him, I wondered if he would do that. I wondered if he was going to kill him when he went into the cell. But I was leaning towards no. I felt like maybe they wanted us to think that he was going to do it. But, Gabriel has been a rock for like 2 seasons now. He's been really stable. So I actually didn't expect that from him. So what does that mean for Gabriel? He murdered somebody and we have a society now. So it would seem like maybe he shouldn't be in charge anymore. Maybe he should be in jail. There should be a trial for him. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how they deal with this. We didn't see him explain to anybody what happened, to admit to it or anything. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle this, because you can't just be like, well, he's part of the family, right? Like our core group can't be like, well, it's understandable because Dante was a traitor and a murderer, and so, and we love Gabe, he's part of the family, so we're just gonna give him a pass, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see what they do, and it might be something interesting for his character, for Gabriel, so we'll see where that goes. It would have been more satisfying for Rosita to kill him, but I get why it was smarter of her to not kill him so that they could get information out of him. So, but it would have been like more emotionally satisfying. And speaking of Rosita and Gabriel, I just do not see a connection between those two at all. I know that Gabriel was, conducting the funeral, whatever, however you want to say that. But like the fact that he just let Rosita sit there at the grave by herself and didn't comfort her, and then, she takes off, he doesn't go after her. Like, I just don't understand why they're together. And then he was being kind of a jerk to her later on and not listening, and like it was just really frustrating me, and I just don't understand why they're together. I also didn't understand why Eugene wasn't more supportive of Rosita. It would have been a good opportunity for them to rekindle their friendship, because yes, things are awkward, and understandably so, between them, but they are genuinely friends and they love each other, and it would have been a good opportunity if Eugene had gone over and, put a hand on her shoulder, given her a hug. At least he saved her from some zombies, which is like the best way to express you care in this world. But, you know, I would have liked something more between them. Honestly, I'm kind of shipping them together. I kind of wish that she'd just be like, oh, forget Gabriel, you know, and give it a shot with Eugene. But anyway, so, and I was a little afraid that Rosita was gonna go, you know, gonna go crazy, because we have this pattern on the show where a character experiences grief and then they go on some like suicidal, you know, zombie killing spree. And like, we've done this so many times with literally every character, literally everybody, some characters multiple times. And I thought we were past that. So, you know, it's one thing to be like, okay, if she's just taken out some aggression, right? She's angry, and so she's gonna take it out on some zombies, fine. But I was a little worried that we were going to go back to that trope, that Walking Dead trope. And hopefully we're not. But that scene with Sadiq, oh my God. It was really spooky and really affecting. But like, I was also rooting for zombie Sadiq. Like, yes, bite this asshole. But because, of course, they have to have the baby screaming, right? Like, it's such a trope, you know, but yes, they have to have the baby screaming. So that's taking Sadiq's attention. And I wasn't worried about the baby. Not that I would necessarily put it past the show to kill a baby, you know, in that way. I wasn't worried about Rosita's baby. I was just like, oh, please. You know, it would have been poetic justice if Sadiq had bit Dante. But yeah, it was hard to see Sadiq, you know, as a walker. That was tough. We, like I said in the episode, we haven't seen one of our people as a walker since Sasha. And it was different with Sasha because we're kind of rooting for her. Like, that was sad. And it was a bummer because I really like Sasha, but at the same time, you know, you're kind of rooting for her in that moment, so it's less sort of jarring, and you knew that it was happening, like that was her plan, so it wasn't like kind of a surprise. But anyway, that was a great scene, and the horror vibes are just on point this season. Loving it. So it's interesting about Gamma, or Mary. One of the things that this show does really well is that you literally never know who to trust. And so I thought it was strange that she was meeting with Aaron alone. Like, Alpha wouldn't have other people watching, listening. Like, I wonder what the deal was there. Did she betray Aaron? Did she lie to him? Or was she being spied on? And so Alpha found out, and that's why she moved her horde. Does she always move the horde? Like, it seems like that cave was a better place to keep them anyway than a big open field, because it's, you know, they're less likely to wander off. So that makes sense. So I wonder. But I like that Aaron is kind of back to his old self. He trimmed the beard. You know, he doesn't have the crazy eyes. Like, he's back to his old self, because Aaron's one of my favorites. And I was a little worried that they were gonna, you know, he was gonna go off the rails this season. But no, he seems to be like back to his old self, and I'm happy to see that. And that scene with his daughter, I loved that scene. I thought it was cool how she's like, tell me a story about California, and then he's got a story about hiking in California. So it just adds more depth to Aaron. Like, maybe he traveled a lot. Maybe he traveled all over the country. I like the callback too, because we knew when we first met him that he collected license plates. So it was cool to see his license plate collection. So that was just a nice little touch there. when Michonne and Judith and Luke were in their car buggy thing, whatever it is. I was like afraid for Luke. I was afraid that we were like they were gonna pull a Denise and he was gonna get like an arrow to the head or something like that, because he was just talking too much in that scene, and I was like, oh boy, they're giving him too many lines. I was just like a little scared. And then in the library or the bookstore, wherever they were, I think it was the library, I was genuinely worried for him. And it's kind of a nice feeling to be like genuinely worried for someone's safety. Unlike when, Daryl is falling down the hill, it's like, well, I know he's going to be okay. Like, he might twist his ankle or something, but like, I know he's not going to die. But Luke could die. So it's kind of nice to be like, oh shit, like genuinely worried about somebody that you care about. But like that guy being there to save him, that was just like a little too convenient, right? And then that's the guy, like, so it's perfect because then he just happens to be at Oceanside trying to steal a boat, and then Luke can vouch for him because, hey, this is the guy who saved me. And then it turns out that this is the guy who, can potentially win this war for them. And it's just like a little too convenient. But I'm not really complaining. Like, it's okay. It's okay. It's a little cute. It's a little too cute, a little too convenient, but I'll allow it. Anyway, but like that guy, you didn't know if you could trust him, and I still don't know if I can trust him. And that's just part of this show. And it can be tiring sometimes because sometimes you just want to be able to trust people. But I just think that they do it so well. So I love that moment between Daryl and Carol. Man, Carol, she shouldn't be out there doing this stuff, right? Because I mean, she's the one that's like, God, that was so obviously a trap. I have a lot of issues. I have a lot of issues with that whole thing because we have not one, not two, but 3 trackers. Okay, we have Daryl, who's, like the Uber tracker, right? We have Aaron, and we have Connie. And it felt like Daryl felt very impatient. It's like, oh, the horde isn't here, damn it. Okay, time to find Lydia. And Carol is the one that's like actually looking around at the surroundings. And really, like, that's what everybody else should be doing too. Like, I love how observant Carol is. She could sense that somebody was watching them. She was looking around. She noticed it. Everybody else should be noticing these things, particularly those 3 that I just mentioned. Connie can't, she can't hear anything, of course, but the rest of her senses are heightened. And so I feel like she would be looking around, very carefully, for all kinds of threats. And like, that's who Daryl is. And Aaron too. Like I said, these are 3 incredibly competent trackers. These are like probably the 3 best. I can't think of another one that I would add into the mix in terms of trackers, right? Like, this is our top 3. And it just was like, I mean, I loved that Daryl saw the trap that Carol almost stepped into. That's great. But like, when they saw, like, the fact that they went to where the horde was, that could be a trap in and of itself. They didn't seem to be concerned about that. They keep crossing the borders. They have to know that Alpha has people watching the borders. And because she knows every single time they cross. And then the fact that they're just like, okay, pack it up, turn around, let's go, instead of like really paying attention. And then for Carol, like Carol is smarter than that. Like I love that she was super aware of her surroundings, but she's smarter than to just run off after Alpha. Why is Alpha just standing out there? It's obviously a trap. Come on. And then everybody goes running after her. Honestly, like, I know that they love her, but honestly, like, they shouldn't have gone after her because it's a trap. And then I also have issues with the fact that there were so many times when you could not hear any walkers until they were in frame. Come on. Come on. How many times are we going to do this? There are thousands of walkers in that cave, and it's complete silence until the camera's focusing on them. Give me a break. That is old school Walking Dead bullshit. No. They did that at the library, and like you could maybe make an argument for the library, like, well, the walker was just laying there, dormant, and then Luke disturbed them, and so now, okay, they're gonna start groaning and whatever, doing their thing. You can make a case for that, but thousands upon thousands upon thousands of walkers. And again, it's not like they're just, like, they're not going to be silent. That cave was silent. When Daryl was going in there, it was silent. It's not going to be silent. Even if they're, like, dormant walkers, there are thousands of them, but they're not going to be dormant because they were put in there recently. So, no, they're going to be teaming around, they're going to be groaning, they're going to be doing their walker thing, and we would be able to hear them. But the fact that all of those people had fallen before Daryl, everybody else had fallen in there, they would have stirred up the walkers anyway. So we should have been able to hear them. And that's the kind of, like attention to detail that this show has trouble with. Like you could hear a little bit, like some murmurs. But it was it was just way too quiet. It's because they didn't want to tell us that the cave was full of walkers until, we had this big shock, like boom, and then the camera's on them and camera pulls out and it's like, oh my God, look at all the walkers. And like, yeah, it's a cool shot and everything, but it doesn't make any sense. So it's a little annoying. But like, I feel like I'm nitpicking. This was actually a great episode. I'm surprised. It didn't feel like a mid-season finale. And we didn't lose anybody, like just Dante. Good riddance. So it's an interesting setup. They're stuck in there. So what's gonna happen? How are they gonna get out? Why did Alpha want to get them stuck in there? Like, what's her plan? Yeah, I'm really interested to see, like, this is obviously setting up something interesting for the second half. Oh, and Michonne. Right. So Michonne, speaking of setting up the second half of the season, Michonne sailing off with that guy to the naval base or whatever, that's really cool. I do know that Michonne, I know that Denai leaves the show in season 10, but like, I didn't know how. I assumed that she didn't die because I feel like I wouldn't have been able to avoid that spoiler if she died. But I'm wondering if this is what they're going to do. She hasn't been in very many episodes this half season anyway. So I wonder if this is how she's gonna like take a break from the show. But why did she go alone? Why a whole bunch of weapons? And she said she's gonna have to figure out how to bring them back. And she's like, but it can only be me. And I thought she was talking to Judith like, you can't come, which, yeah, it makes sense. Little kid can't go and do something like that. But I figured she'd take a team with her. So it's just her and this random dude. But I hope that we get to see this place, because I'd really like to see a new community, and one living in a naval base. That sounds really cool. So I hope we actually, it's not just she's gone and then she shows up in the, you know, season finale with a nuke. Well, not a nuke, but you know, with a flamethrower or whatever. So yeah, I hope that we do get to actually see a little bit of this community. Oh, I feel like I started to talk about that scene between Daryl and Carol, and then I kind of, like, I went off on something else. So I loved that moment between them. I love how mature Daryl is, how much he's grown. Like, he actually, you know, he wants her to talk to him, and oh God, I just love it so much. Then she walked away, and you know, she killed that walker, and I kind of thought, well, they're probably not supposed to be killing walkers, right? Because that gives away the fact that they've crossed the border. And so I thought that was maybe why Daryl looked at her. He kind of looked at her funny. I thought it was because of that, but I'm not sure. But nothing that he's saying is getting through to her. So I don't know. But I did love that moment. I love them so much. I love them so much. Those are two of my favorite characters in the world, and their relationship is like one of my favorite relationships. Maybe actually my favorite relationship between any two characters in anything ever. I think so. But it is nice in a weird way. Like, it's nice for them to have some conflict, because I can't ever remember them not being like on the same page, and you know, they'll always have each other's backs, of course, but it's nice for a little conflict to shake things up. So I definitely don't hate it. I actually kind of find it interesting. But man, Carol, look what you done did. I love her so much. I can't be mad. That's the thing. Like, I can't be mad at Carol. I just... Anyway, I'm super excited for 10B. Super excited. I really wonder how in the hell they're going to get out of there. I hope that it's not an anticlimax, that it's not like, you know, Beta comes through a secret tunnel and is like, follow me, and then they're just out. You know what I mean? It's like, I was expecting a little something more exciting. Who knows? Anyway, all right, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!